The United States has long kept itself as a nation of immigrants. However, in the past year, hundreds of thousands of immigrant children fleeing cyclical violence in the Northern Triangle region of Central America have been unable to live the lives of peace and freedom they so desperately crave in the United States. Hello, my name is Mitchell Timmerman, and I want to help end this cruel and unusual punishment perpetrated by the United States government. In the summer of 2014, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol apprehended hundreds of children fleeing from a lifestyle plagued with fear and violence in the Northern Triangle region of Central America. This region includes Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. These nations, whose national governments are combating disruptive drug gangs, are unable to let these children lead healthy and productive lives. Instead, they must flee. And so they flee to the United States, where they hope to live better and safer lives. Yet upon their entry into the nation, those apprehended are immediately sent to detention facilities. This practice is the general practice used for individuals detained by the Customs and Border Patrol, yet is wholly unconstitutional in this particular instance. There are several problems with the government's current method of addressing this problem. First off is the reasoning behind these detainments. Second are the conditions these children's detainment and the living conditions of their current incarceration. Third, and finally, will be the laws surrounding the process of immigration in the United States as a whole. The Administration for Children and Families, a subsection for the Department of Health and Human Services, the children are being detained due to the policy of the United States government on those who enter the nation illegally. Bear in mind, this is a policy specifically for those who enter the nation illegally. The current law states that the admission to the United States by non-immigrants shall be for such time and under such conditions as the Attorney General may by regulations prescribe. These conditions are vague and non-descriptive. There is no specificity in regards to the time limit as well as the conditions that the detained illegal immigrants are living. These children are kept in conditions that are inhumane and inconsiderate based on the notion that they present a threat to the American people. This is in fact the opposite of the truth. Instead, the overwhelming majority of these children are fleeing threats like unstable governments and gang violence. As these children live in the Northern Triangle, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to live lives free of violence and crime. Instead, those that remain in the region are either caught up into the cycle of gang violence or lose their families to the horrors of war. The logic behind their incarceration is flawed and unwarranted. The conditions of the children's incarceration are of paramount concern. The senior senator from Washington State, Senator Patty Murray, has voiced her concern to the lives of these children. Senator Murray is worried about the detained children receiving basic things like food and water. Additionally, these children have faced inhumane conditions. Those detained by the CBP, or Customs and Border Patrol, have faced verbal, sexual, and physical violence along with prolonged detention in squalid conditions and severe lack of essential necessities such as food and water, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. Additionally, there are multiple reports of the Border Patrol agents failing to provide the apprehended minors with medicine, diapers for infants, and the confiscation and refusal to return important legal documents. The general lack of quality facilities available has led the ACLU, along with the National Immigrant Justice Center, Americans for Immigrant Justice, Esperanza Immigrants' Rights Project, and the Florence Immigrant and Refugees' Rights Project to file a lawsuit. As the court case is prolonged, there are still children kept in these squalid conditions. The full complaint lists 40 complaints on individuals ranging from a 5-year-old boy to a 17-year-old orphan faced with abusive CBP agents, malnutrition, and additional challenges. These conditions are compounded with facilities far past capacity and general lack of quality care that is required by Flores v. Reno, a legal case which stated that children detained by government agents are to be treated with dignity, respect, and special concern for their particular vulnerability. This is not a special concern for any vulnerability at all. In fact, it becomes quite the opposite. Rather than accounting for the vulnerability for these children, many of whom are without any family members, the children are exploited in their current state. These conditions are not the conditions minors should be shown as they hope to live in a country to escape violence. They should not have to worry about receiving it on the way back. The main problem behind the entire situation is the lack of clarity behind the laws on immigration. While the INA claims that the Attorney General will decide what is the appropriate time length that any illegal immigrants may be detained, Flores v. Reno says that children must be given special consideration and only held in the detention facilities for no more than 24 hours without an adult relative. The problem behind the law is that there are simply too many laws. Instead, we as Americans should focus on fixing the immigration system by having one cohesive law on how to deal with the influx of migrant children. That's the top issue up for debate this November. As you make your way to the polls, remember that you have a moral responsibility to these children. These are individuals fleeing cyclical violence, a life of crime and poverty for the hope that one day they can make it to America and live healthy and prosperous lives. To do what we do and keep them contained is an inhumane and unethical practice. Instead, we must change the myriad of laws that keeps immigrant children bound up in complex legal proceedings. Proposition 7 will do many things, and it will fix this problem. First, it will end the program of civilian detention of minors. They will now receive the attention they deserve and with respect to their unique circumstances and disadvantages. This will be the greatest legacy of Flores v. Reno, as the children who hope to enter the country are removed from costly detention facilities and into a new, more streamlined process. Second, the control of the new facilities will be moved to the Department of Health and Human Services. This will ensure that there is a more structured system with a greater degree of oversight into not only how the detainees are being treated, but also how the southern borders are being patrolled. Finally, special provisions will be added to allow for children to be fast-tracked through the immigration system by having access to immigration lawyers, a guide through the complexities of acquiring citizenship, and assistance in helping to adapt to the United States. We live in a new age of immigration. We must accept that there is a necessity to change the current situation. That's why we are calling you to vote yes on Prop 7. God bless, and God bless the United States of America.